and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Sisters at the Well Radio, a conversation with women about women. Coming to you live from beautiful Los Angeles, California. I am Linda Morgan, your host for today and the host of Sisters for Jazz. We are here every second or third Sunday of the month, depending. I am also the founder of the Living Legend Foundation, an organization that celebrates and honors jazz and blues legends. To date, we have honored 55 legends here in Los Angeles. We are happy to have you join us on the World Wide Web, on Ustream, or iTunes. And I'm excited to have in the studio with me today two of my phenomenal friends in jazz. The eclectic cowgirl, Miss Ava Dupree.
Hi, Linda.
And my running buddy, delightful Debbie Dupree. We were also supposed to have Miss Barbara Morrison in today, but we had some logistical challenges, so we will work them out for our November show, if she's not out of the country. Barbara, I hope you're at the studio at BMPAC watching us online live. Barbara Perkins is the lead host of Sisters at the Well Radio, and she says, when you think of this show, we want you to think of The View on Radio. We expect to enjoy ourselves, but we want you to enjoy listening as well. We also invite you to call in during the show, and we will try to get to each of you. The call-in number is 323-247-3100. Again, that number is 323.
No, it's not. It's 323-473-3100.
Oh, my bad. 473-3100. Again, 323-473-3100. When we are live on the radio. I would love to hear from some of my jazzy friends. So let's jump right into meeting each of my guests, and they will share about themselves and what they have going on. Alrighty. We'll first start with Miss Debbie. This is my running buddy, my pal, who I couldn't wait to get back from D.C. to have someone to go and run around to the many different jazz events here in L.A. Welcome, Debbie. Please tell our listening audience a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Linda. A little bit is sort of hard to do because I go a long ways back. But
you got to put the mic up. Put the mic up close to you, darling, so we can hear you.
I am a mother. I am a jazz lover. I am many things. I must admit, I do far too many things.
Push it down.
But my first love is, my second love is jazz. My first love is the Lord. I can't miss that one. My second love is jazz, and I've been listening to jazz, you can say, all of my life. And I'm 39 now. For those who know me, know that's a joke.
Yes, ma'am.
But I was blessed. My mother was a dancer, and she worked on Central Avenue back in the 30s. And so I got a chance to listen to jazz when Duke Ellington, Count Basie, Art Tatum, and many others had just started out. I was able to go backstage, and I have many, many stories, funny stories, lasting stories about the musicians. Because I was young, I saw things from a different light, but now I understand things a little better. And like I said, I have many stories, so let's just wait and I'll tell a few.
All righty. Well, thank you, darling. It's great to know that there are some of us who love this music, have grown up in this music, and can share about this music. So thank you for joining me today, and thank you for being my road dog as always.
Thank you.
And next we have Miss Ava Dupree. We call her the eclectic.
Ava do what?
Dupree. Did I say Dupree?
You just made me Debbie's daughter, which is okay because she's quite a hot mama.
You know what?
I'm only 39.
I know it, and that was it. You know
that
that
makes
was
me 12.
that was a Freudian slip. Okay, I'm sorry, Miss Dupree. Forgive me, please.
That's all right, Dupree, because it was all down in New Orleans and, mother's baby, daddy's maybe.
That's true, girl. So tell us the story.
I have enough.
Give us a little bit of history about you, ma'am, and how our friendship started. How about that? Start there. Where'd you meet me?
I went out one night. I don't really remember. It's just like I looked up and you were in my life. And it was 5 years ago you were in my life and you wouldn't leave.
I know.
And then you like made me work for you and do all this stuff. And then next thing I knew, I was a board member of the Living Legends. And then I hijacked you to work the Sweet and Hot Festival when that was still going on. And then it's just that we keep trying to push this thing called music and make people do it right. Which reminds me, that gets into one of my pet peeves right now, because you said this was like The View. I'm just going to go start off with a pet peeve. I'll tell you about myself later. Pet peeve. Back in the day, folks used to dress. Duke and Count and people and the girls, and they wore gowns and people dressed. People don't dress no more. They look like they all but wear house slippers to go perform. You don't pay money to see somebody. I don't want to see you in blue jeans and a t-shirt. If I'm going to pay to come and see your gig, you better dress. Because if I'm going to come, otherwise I can listen to your record.
Yeah.
So if it's going to be live music, give me something to look at as well as something to hear. It ain't enough for you to just sound good. Otherwise, I just get your LP.
Well, us Sisters for Jazz, they be doing it. When Dee Dee McNeil performs, honey,
Hello, doorbell.
she works it.
So do I.
Barbara, she works it. So Ann Mac, they work it. But gentlemen, sometimes they just come like they are.
No, it's some girls out there too, and I'm saying it, and y'all know who y'all is. I'm just saying, men or women, if people are paying to hear you play, perform, and you're actually someone they can see, look like somebody who needs to be seen.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, that's your pet peeve for the day. No more, but let's talk about you
You said
now.
it was The View.
I can't believe you said all of that, because we just had a discussion about that on yesterday, about how the ladies dress. And I've written a book.
Ooh.
And I'm getting ready to go home and start putting it together and get it published right away.
Yes, you should, because some people need help.
Okay. Well, now we can help some sisters out with some etiquette. That's what you're talking about, right, in that dress area. Sometimes I need a little help, so let me shut up on that area.
Well,
but
I
keep
have
on.
had a wardrobe malfunction myself before.
So go right ahead, Ava. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about your jazz background. It's so eclectic, so it goes into a little bit more than just jazz. But we're sisters for jazz today. If I become country one day or blues one day, we'll talk about all that.
Let me tell you, first of all, I am a black woman, and all the music belongs to me as far as I'm concerned. So whether I'm singing jazz, singing country, singing blues, all of it, when I do it, it's all jazz. And my people made the music, as far as I'm concerned. So that's all mine. But no, I started out piano lessons at a very early age, number 8 out of a family of 9. Daddy was a preacher. We sang in the choir. It's the usual story. I also play the flute and the tenor sax. I was the first black drum major at West High School in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Wow.
Yeah, because our nickname was the Rebels. So, that was a big old deal. And went to college. And I didn't find jazz then. I was doing musical theater, actually. And it was one day my best friend was a jazz drummer in college. And he kept running off to the one side of the music building, and I kept running off to marching band practice. And I finally really started listening to him and listening to some of the songs that I was doing with musical theater. And I was like, these are the same songs. It's not just musical theater. What Ella was singing, what Sarah was singing, a lot of those songs were actually show tunes. And so I started doing a cabaret show, and it just progressed from there. So I came to jazz really, really late. Growing up, it was Motown and gospel, and that was about the only thing we were allowed to listen to in the house. We were allowed to listen to country and watch Hee Haw and the Lawrence Welk Show and stuff like that, which is where I got my love for ball gowns, watching Lawrence Welk.
Oh, okay then. Well, you know what? We're going to take a short break, and on this break, we're going to play your song.
Okay.
Which one was that? What was the name of that song?
Oh, The Housekeeper.
The Housekeeper.
Okay.
We'll go into break on The Housekeeper, and when we come back, we'll talk more.
Okay.
How about that?
What made you play around when you had it so good at home? Look, but don't touch, appreciate the beauty. Just leave it alone. I'm really mad, but I made my decision. You're really a louse, so you just keep your Sheila. I'm keeping the house. Well, I'm the housekeeper, baby. Guess that's not good enough for you. Taking good care of what's mine is what I love to do. But while you're out there dogging and howling at the moon, sowing your ancient oats and playing the fool, you make sure to tell her you married the housekeeper. I guess that you're sad, but it's only 'cause you got caught. I admit, she's got the finest pair that could be bought. I won't make a stink, I promise. I'll be quiet as a mouse. Just tell Tina I'm keeping the house. Well, I'm the housekeeper, baby. Guess that's not good enough for you. Taking good care of what's mine is what I love.
Hi, this is Barbara Perkins, inviting you to join us every Sunday afternoon at 2:40 for Sisters at the Well Radio, a conversation with women about women. Join us as we share stories about current events, jazz events, business opportunities, health and wellness, entertainment, and so much more. So don't forget to tune in Sundays at 2:40, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is John McClure Jr., aka Simply John, and I would like to invite you to join us on gospelrhythms.com every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our show gospelrhythms.com Talk Live Radio. Join us as we celebrate Christians around the world in all genres of entertainment, as well as highlight interest stories on men and women who are making a difference and impacting their community. So don't forget to tune in to gospelrhythms.com on LA Talk Live. And we're more than just talk. Remember, it's a heaven's party here on earth. So live life. Love God.
I want a Sunday kind of love. I love to last past Saturday night. I need to know it's more than love at first sight.
Now we're back from the break, and that was Miss Barbara Morrison on her new CD, A Sunday Kind of Love. I'm so bummed that she cannot be here with us today, but we'll make it for the next show. Sisters for Jazz is once a month, and so we definitely will kick it in for next week. But we are back with the lead host here. Hi, my friend.
Hi, Linda Morgan. I'm just stopping by to say hello and eavesdrop on all the jazzy sisters today.
Yes.
Happy Sunday.
Thank you. Thank you.
You good?
Yes, I'm good.
I love this show.
I'm loving it too. And I have my two friends here with us, Miss Ava Dupree.
She got it right.
Did she sing yet? Did you sing?
They just played my song.
And Debbie Dupree.
Okay. Hi.
But yeah, we're going to get some live, Ava, because since she's in here. Oh, yes, we are.
Okay,
So get
I'm not trying to run it. I'm just saying. Did you sing?
You didn't ask me that question.
Did you sing?
Not if you want to have a radio show.
we can talk the lyrics. You and I, we're good at that.
So thank you guys for sticking around. And please feel free to call in. And that number again is 323-473-3100. So when we went on the break, Ava, we was talking about you and all that, how you got into jazz and everything. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Sweet and Hot Music Festival a little bit that you were a very integral part of. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, held at the Marriott LAX, it was what we used to say the most fun you could have in 4 days with your clothes on. It was over 200 musicians on 9 stages, and it was music. It originally started out as a Dixieland Jazz Festival, went to just jazz, and then it became a music festival where we embraced all kinds and types of music. You could hear rock, you could hear, of course, jazz and R&B and different things were playing there. We had some lovely Latin music playing, and it was amazing. It was a lot of work, and of course, it ended 2 years ago, mainly because people they love to come to stuff, but people don't like to put their money where their mouth is. And so even though they wanted it to be there, we lost a lot of patrons and things like that. And of course, this year we've lost a lot of actual musicians. And so you're not surprised that the supporters are dying and people are dying, but the music is not dying. And I'm here to make that happen.
Absolutely. You need to also make sure young people are really tuned in and involved so that the music lives with the supporters.
Yes.
And the fans.
That's one of the things I do now, because even though the Sweet and Hot Music Festival is over, the Sweet and Hot Music Foundation is still working. And so in that, my fiance and I we do small events. Matter of fact, Debbie Dupree was just at one of our last events. We call it the Festival, and we hold it at our home. And we had 200.
Nice.
It's by invitation only. We had 200 people walk through our house, and we had nonstop music from 2:00 in the afternoon till midnight, and then it turned into a jam session that didn't end till 5:00 in the morning.
Okay, Linda, were you there? How come I didn't?
I think we were in D.C.
We were in not in D.C. You were across town at something you thought was better.
Tell it.
Well, I was there.
You were there, Debbie?
It was fabulous.
Wow.
I can remember. You have to
we
clone
had
me.
locals. We had Carol Chaikin was there playing the saxophone. Phil Randlin was on trombone. My goodness, who all?
Bobby Spencer was there.
Bobby Spencer was there. Lou Matthews was there.
Wait, did you catch that? She knows. She knows.
She knows who was there. She just couldn't bother herself to make an appearance.
I have to be cloned sometime because there's jazz events that go on and that I need to be at both in one or two. I just can't make them all. But, my apologies. I was there in love. I sent you some musicians to help out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, can you send my invitation to me and not through Linda?
Yes, I can.
So I can go.
So the other small thing we do is every 2 months we feature 3 singers, and we only invite 50 people. And it's in our living room, and it's it's like getting an invite to that is a big deal because we can't do the big event but once a year. So it's like every 2 months people are like, am I on the list this time? Am I on the list this time?
I love it.
You want to be on the list for the next one, don't
Next
you?
one, please. When is
I
that?
get on the list.
When is that?
November 21st.
We're invited.
You're invited. Yeah, because that night we are featuring, we're going to have Eve Evans, Darren Dean, and Thisbe Voss, and it's going to be lovely. And of course, Wally always opens the show and I close the show, so you'll get to hear me a little bit there too.
Lovely, lovely, lovely.
And Ava, I get on the list because I bake a cake.
You get on the list because you wear purple.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Oh, I can do that. I can wear purple and I could pick up a cake.
She don't necessarily, she won't bake it, but she can pick up one. Exactly.
That'll work. I accept.
But that is great. You are so involved in jazz as well. And I am, my little small 4 years of Leimert Park Jazz promotions have garnered us the Living Legends series where we've honored 55 jazz and blues legends there in Leimert Park. So I do feel connected to jazz in that way and being able to help preserve it. And that's one of the things I really wanted to talk to Debbie about. We talk about it. We go to the caucus every year, and they have a jazz panel there that's ran by
Congressional Black Caucus.
Yes, the Congressional Black Caucus. That is. You're right. And on that Thursday night, they have a jazz forum and a panel discussion, and it's all about jazz. And this year, I was breaking my neck trying to get there from one event to the next, and because all I wanted to do was ask a question, and that question was simple. I got there, and I was stood in line to ask my question, and I said, they were talking about the preservation of jazz, and I said, really? How are you preserving the legacy of jazz musicians? How are you doing that tangibly? Can you give me the steps that you are doing to do that? And no one on the panel could tell me. There was Dr. Larry Ridley on the panel. I met this other incredible.
Calling them out?
Oops, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Don't stop.
Well, she did say it was like The View on the radio.
That's what it is. Yeah. Whatever emerges.
I'm sorry. Okay, but yeah, there was prominent jazz people on the. I won't call any more names, but yeah, there were prominent people on this panel, and they really wasn't. They didn't go into that depth of preservation. They talked about how they could have a saxophone move from one museum to another in terms of a preservation. If Dizzy Gillespie's saxophone wanted to be moved from Kansas City to Chicago, what that would take.
I'm sorry, but I'm not, no disrespect, because I love me some Mr. Gillespie, but he's dead. What are we going to do for the live people?
I know, but see, and that was the thing. That's what I stood up and I said, I don't do memorials, and I do appreciate those musicians who've gone before us. I said, but there are tons of legends that are living whose legacies are not even thought about to be protected or preserved in any tangible way. I said, for example, if you Google any of them on this World Wide Web that we call today, how much information comes up? I said, that's very crucial to the next generation, even though this generation that created it is not on the internet, does not mean that they should limit that information for the next generation who searches for that information to try to find them. So that was what became very important for me to get out to that panel, that preservation has to be more than just their items to be moved around at a museum,
Well, it is so true that the younger generation knows nothing about the past. A little story of a very famous musician who his daughters were visiting me in D.C., and I said to them, well, the Capitol has a great show tonight. Let's go. And they said, oh, great, Aunt Debbie. And I said, you're going to enjoy this. And they said, well, who's going to be there? I said, the Fifth Dimensions and the Pointer Sisters. And they said, who are they? And I'm like, oops, those are your father's friends, But the younger generation just don't know. And I still remember, and I thank God for memory. I have so many wonderful memories of, for one, Duke Ellington, by my mom being in the entertainment business when I was a child. I had the opportunity to go backstage a lot. And I remember...
That's where you get that from, to today.
Yeah, I spent my childhood backstage. And I just remember little things like Duke Ellington having on this beautiful robe, and he had supporters holding up his stockings, or socks as they call them today. And that intrigued me so. And I said to my mom, Mom, that man has on supporters. I can't remember anything about the music, but I remember that Duke Ellington had on supporters. And then there were times when, and those days, the black musicians couldn't go to the hotels and the restaurants and the nightclubs.
Right.
So Central Avenue was that.
Oh, yeah, that was the place.
That was the place. So this was in the 30s, and you remember, I'm only 39.
You read about this, right?
Yes, I read about it. Back in the 30s, there was the Club Alabama, the Mimo. Those were the clubs that there was the Last Word. There was even a Catalina Club. And I think that was probably the early 40s. And this is where they all hang out. The musicians that would come to town, my mom would fix, and you've seen pictures of the dining room table and all the musicians around playing cards at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I think some of those were taken at our house. My mom would cook big pots of food, and at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, when all the clubs were closed, they all came to the house. And this is the way they were fed, because they couldn't go to the restaurants. As a matter of fact, the east side was all there was. There was a east side and a west side. And the black lived on the east side. And this is where they hung out, like I said, Central Avenue. And I remember so many of them that many people have never heard of. Peg Leg Bates and Art Tatum. And, we just had a great time. Even though I was young, I loved the music.
Wow.
And so that's how I became a jazz lover.
Wow, that's great. And today, Debbie will cook a cake and get backstage with that cake. You hear me? For any artist. They
I'm
know
taking
her.
this back to the artist.
Yes.
Right. But to piggyback what you're saying, it's so funny. I have a little story. Years ago, right here in LA, I was doing a gig, and I won't name the club because I'm not going to call out the musician, but there was a certain musician that I hadn't really used very much. And so he insisted that he could do the gig with me. And he was like, oh, yeah. I learned all that stuff in college. And I said, I'm just really singing from the Great American Songbook. It's really straight ahead stuff. Said musician who said he knows all that stuff and had learned it all in college lost me a gig because he didn't. And so in my efforts to help preserve the Great American Songbook, because I think that it's impossible to go to where you're going next if you don't know where you came from.
Right.
And what everybody did before us is where you step off from. I'm not saying don't write new music, because you see I'm writing new music all the time.
Right.
I still sing the old stuff, but I know where it started. And some of it just a little bug that some people blow off. What happened in the past is non-essential old-timey music, or that music that was before, and only what I'm creating today matters. And it's like, no, if you listen to that, you build from that, and that's
exactly.
where we go.
Yeah.
So that's part of what we're doing. You're preserving the legacies. I'm preserving the music.
Right.
Right.
Well,
But it's a marriage, as you said. When I walked in and I was saying, I started singing a blues song, and I said, "Oh, excuse me, it's a jazz show," and you said, "Well, it's married."
Yeah, it's married.
All of it is integrated.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's important to know the foundation.
Exactly.
And so as the young people come along, even in any art like dance, Miss Sabrina's a dancer. But there's a foundation for dance. You can go into the newness of it and your creativity, but there's this ballet thing that's underneath all of that, where a lot of that dance originated, gives you the root. So same thing with jazz. You have the root of that. Because I came into 4 years ago, when I met Linda, I was like totally into smooth jazz. Just that was my thing. But every time I would say that, all the straight ahead jazz folks would just snub their noses. That's not, including my husband. That is not jazz. That is not jazz. Why are you listening to that? I'm not. But that's what I like, and that's what I know.
Yes.
So you can't, dismiss the young people because this is what they know and this is what they like. You have to show them how it integrates itself, how that there was this wonderful, sweet marriage.
Yes.
And that there's some really good stuff left over from that, and you got to know how to use that as well as create your new. So
I know.
don't discard it.
Have you ever watched some of those dance shows and they were like, ooh, this is a new thing and it's a hippity hoppity thing. And you'd be like, ooh, that's African dance. I saw that on
This is what
National
our folks used to do.
Geographic.
They still doing that. In fact, this is the basics.
I was like, that ain't new. You ain't new.
So
Well, you go with what you see.
Absolutely.
And the young
Yeah.
people today, this is all they see. They see the dance step. Guys, they should look some of the movies back in the Jitterbug when we were doing all of those things. Mm-hmm. And flipping here and there and
yes.
about,
Well, look at tap and how the integration of tap into today's culture.
Exactly.
But it is our dual responsibility to make sure young people are interested and introduced.
Very true.
Okay,
Exactly.
because now jazz community, I don't know all of it, so y'all don't be mad at me when I say this. Sometimes that little jazz community could be a little snobbish.
Oh yeah, we can.
This is what we do. This is what we do, and that's not real. You got to stop that.
Yes.
You got to bring the young people along so that because they're going to be the ones carrying this music on.
They are, but it's the older people who have the money that we need to run our project. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah, well, you need both.
I do.
Because you can't do all this music, just like from your bedside.
I know, but I need the
Right?
I need the older people to give up the money so that I can go educate the youth. So I need these snobby people to open their wallets.
Okay, well, teach them too. Then
Yes.
teach them how.
Well,
to
you know
do
what?
both.
Teach
You
'em
guys,
all.
actually, in 2007, that's when I created the brand Smooth Ahead, because I came from a smooth jazz area back in 2004 and 5.
You were all into smooth jazz, and then when I blinked and turned around, you were like straight ahead jazz, straight ahead jazz. I said, wait a minute, what happened? What they do to you? and now don't want me to put on my smooth jazz. I'm playing it all.
And wait, and then I have to admit, I was a snob because
You probably still are.
when she first started asked me to work on her first project when she was doing it, I said, well, you know what? I said,
How do you do that?
I told her, I said, you know what? That's sleepy time music. And I did. I told her. She said, well, I work with smooth jazz. And I said, ooh, that's the stuff I listen to when I can't sleep at night. And I did. I wouldn't work on the project.
Confession of a snob.
I love smooth jazz, but I love straight ahead jazz. And you can love it all.
Right.
Because I love almost every kind of music. It's surprising. It depends on what kind of mood you're in. Mm-hmm. It depends on where you are. It depends on who you're with.
Girl, I got
Come
kicked off of Jazz Networks talking about the difference between smooth ahead and smooth jazz and straight ahead jazz. But we're going to talk about that
I
because
started out
No, you're
on
not
the
because
jazz.
people are my friends.
I started out in jazz when I really was old enough. I was the first woman disc jockey in Seattle, Washington.
That's right.
In 1961 on the
Okay,
only...
now you just told your age, but okay.
I forgot.
That's okay. 61.
Yeah.
Shout out for 61.
Oh, yeah, for 1961, yes. And I'm only 39, just remember that. So when I started in jazz, that was straight ahead. But guess what? Motown had just started out, and we were playing Stevie Wonder, and he was only 13 years old. When Smokey came along, we started playing Smokey on the station, even though we were a straight ahead jazz station, because we gave everybody an opportunity. Now, I didn't hear about smooth jazz till many years later.
Right.
By then, I had worked for United Artists. I had worked for Motown. I had worked for Playboy. I had gone through all the genres almost. And I still loved my jazz. It didn't change. But it wasn't until later that I heard about the smooth jazz. And I fell in love with it.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
I love me some smooth jazz. Let's not get this twisted. I love some smooth jazz.
Okay, you still
But I
love
had
smooth jazz?
yes,
Okay.
but I had to get into the promotion and preservation of straight ahead jazz
Okay.
because it just felt like it was dying back in 2004 and 5.
Right.
There were no real festivals that was being entertained with the straight ahead artists.
Right.
So I thought I had to become this voice for the straight ahead artists.
Now, see, I've been told that there's a difference. When you take what Grover Washington Jr. did, which I absolutely love,
Absolutely
I've
love
been
him.
told that that is called contemporary jazz, and that the
Traditional versus contemporary, yes.
and that there's a difference. And so I've come up with this thought of it myself. If it can only be created in your studio and you can't translate it to a stage where other people can play along with you, that's the sleepy time music. And then if other people can play it along with you, i.e. a Grover Washington Jr. or Kirk Whalum, something like that, then that, I guess I'm being told, is contemporary jazz, which is smooth, and that I can listen to. It's the other stuff I can't listen to.
I got
Well, that's okay. You can have that segment of smooth jazz that you want to relabel.
I was told this. My friend Henry Johnson in Chicago, a very fine guitar player, told me that they have been actually, when the radio station started shutting down like they
right.
did in
all the
drugs,
smooth, yeah.
everybody got cast over that played like that into this thing called contemporary jazz.
But you know that's all economics,
Separate.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you know that's all about how do we separate this out so that we can market it a certain way. But I say it's all good music. And again, I'm going back to the piece where it all integrates itself with what do we do as a culture around music, and knowing that the foundation of that, though, I think for Black folks,
Now,
let's just call it, is jazz and it's
Okay,
straight
but
ahead.
y'all hold that thought.
Do you really want to know what jazz is?
Yes.
What?
I'm going to tell you what
Yes.
jazz is. Jazz is when you're on stage and you're singing and a gnat or a fly flies in your throat, whatever comes out of your mouth next, that's jazz.
Oh my God! Wait a minute.
With that, we're going to go into a commercial break.
I got to deal with that.
We're going to come back with that one on a commercial break. Okay, how about
I
that?
love that.
Wait a minute.
Oh, so what are we listening to? Something that comes out of your mouth when a what? When a gnat flies in. Give us something, Van. Give us something wonderful.
Well, it's midnight. One more night without sleeping. Yes, and I'm watching that morning come creeping. Well, now, Green Door, what's that secret you're keeping? You know they got a real hot piano that they swing real hard behind the green door. Lord, and that bass man stomping, 'cause he's really something behind the green door. Oh, you know the drummer's keeping time and he plays so fine behind the green door. You know I knocked once. I tried to tell him I'd been there. You know the door slammed. 100 talented men there. I wish they'd let me in so I can see what's there behind that green door. I saw an eyeball peeping from a smoky cloud behind the green door. I tried to tell them Count Basie sent me, but they laughed out loud behind the green door. I wish they'd let me in so I could see what's there behind the green door. 'Cause they doing the honky tonk, Lord, they doing the honky tonk. Ooh, they doing that honky tonk. Yes, they doing the honky tonk. I wish they'd let me in so I could see what's there behind the green door. tried to tell them I'd been there. You know the door slammed. 100 talented men there. I wish they'd let me in so I could see what's there behind that green door. I saw an eyeball peeping from a smoky cloud behind the green door. I tried to tell them Billie Holiday sent me, but they laughed out loud behind the green door. I wish they'd let me.
Well, The Green Door. That is Miss Barbara Morrison on her new CD, A Sunday Kind of Love. I'm really missing you, Barbara, but I hope you are viewing us online here at latalklive.com. I am Linda Morgan, your host for Sisters for Jazz, and we are tuned in to Sisters at the Well Radio. And I have in the studio again my friends, the lead host, Miss Barbara Perkins.
Hello, I'm a guest today, though.
Yes, and Miss Ava Dupree.
Hello.
And Miss Debbie Ducray, my friends. Thank you again for joining me. We've had so much conversation this last hour. And Ava, you left us with some funny thing about what jazz was. Now, we got that at the end. So Debbie, what did you think about that? Because you know you've been around much long, a little bit longer than
I
us.
beg your pardon.
Yes,
Much longer, you said? She
just a
didn't
little
like
bit.
that.
I know it.
What did I think about it? I think I don't have to worry about it because I can't sing, so I don't have to worry about it. Actually, I'm thinking about the old jazz, the straight ahead jazz. Unfortunately, my mind I have so many great memories of those days. I was blessed again to have members of my family who were musicians, and I got a chance to see a lot and hear a lot. And I'm thinking back about my uncle was George Morrow, the bass player. And he used to bring home, and this was when I was a little older than the days when my mom and I used to hang out in the club. I used to hang out in the club with Uncle George, and he would bring the musicians home, and we'd have Charlie Parker, Chet Baker, and just so many
amazing.
others.
It's amazing.
I can't even remember all the names now. Shelley Mann and Frank Morgan. I was 15 and Frank was 17. And I saw him and I just went, oh my God, isn't he a doll baby? Well, in the meantime, we're all hanging out at Uncle George's house. And I kept watching Charlie Parker. And he had this handkerchief and he was always sniffing. And he called me baby girl and he'd say, baby girl, go get me a glass of water. And I would go and get him a glass of water and he'd be sniffing this handkerchief. So one day, Uncle George and I were talking and I was listening to him practice. And I said, Uncle George, how come the bird, I called him the bird all the time, how come the bird always has a cold? And Uncle George says, only the innocent would ask a question like that. But I remember losing so many of those young musicians. But Frank and I stayed friends through all the years. We were even in Europe together 6 months before his death, and we were up in age. Him being 70s and I being 39. But I had followed them all through the years. I had followed the jazz. I had gone on to being on radio, and then, like I said, gone on down the line. And I got to D.C. and started hanging out in the jazz clubs, and ran into Nancy Wilson again, who I had met at the Black Orchid many years before. Being able to see George Shearing again, and many others at the Blues Alley in D.C. And there was a club there, the Bohemian Cavern. Yeah. Oh, this was way before
then.
Yes,
Okay.
This was Bohemian Caverns in D.C., and they had great jazz. Then there was a church called Westminster that had straight ahead jazz every Friday night.
They're still doing
It's
it.
still doing it.
I live right around the corner. I have an apartment right around the corner from there. They're doing it every
like,
Friday night.
You at 700?
Right down the street.
700.
Right down the street.
Yes.
Don't be telling her address and
Yeah.
people be
She
showing
doesn't
up.
know what street.
We don't know what street.
They just know.
Right.
Don't go to
down
Barbara
the
house
street.
because she ain't gonna cook for you. No way.
What? No. Waterside. Linda, I took you there.
Yeah.
But Westminster.
That's where I was when we were in
During the
DC
caucus?
a couple
Oh,
of
yeah.
weeks ago.
Every
The Black
Friday
Caucus,
night.
Yes.
And I never ran into you guys. Isn't that
Great
funny?
jazz.
Okay.
Yeah.
My girlfriend lives there.
Okay, we'll talk.
But you know what's really funny about that, about you saying that? I used to get really jealous, and because later when I did find jazz, and I didn't know people like ran away. You read stories and say somebody she left home at 16 years old and went on tour with blah 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 blah. And I
right.
used to like feel like I was so gypped because I didn't get to meet Ella Fitzgerald and I didn't get to
Right.
meet Sarah Vaughan and everything. But the truth is, I have met Barbara Morrison. I have met
I
Eve
know.
Evans. I've shared a stage with. I have shared a stage with Ernestine Anderson. I've met Roberta Gambarini. And so the people of our time now, I have got all these people around me
You
as
got
well
'em.
as, let's don't even name musicians that I've either gotten to work with and know. And so I've stopped, kicking myself for not running away to join the circus years ago, as it were.
Well, this is your day. This is your time and your day.
Yes,
You know.
And yeah, we were going to try to go into something that you had on your little iPod there.
Oh.
Was you going to do a little something?
You promised.
I was going to play this only because, we were talking earlier about the new music versus the old music, and this is just for you guys because everybody needs an anthem.
Okay. Well, give it to us then. We
Maybe.
got about 5 more minutes here on the show, so we'll take it.
Let's see, maybe
If she pushes the right button.
I'm pushing the
Well,
right
with this
button.
technology, you just have to
Exactly.
just tap. There's no pushing. Ooh. Pull that mic close. You better
Got
sing some of
me a
that.
secret, juicy and good. Worst thing you can say out in Hollywood. Been in the closet, it's time to come out. Yes, I'm about to open my mouth.
You gonna be
You
singing.
may point a finger, you may laugh, but I'm
it.
gonna tell
You can sing with
myself it's a happening club
Oh,
with
I
members
messed up.
galore. When
this is the
I come
important part.
out,
This is
we'll
my
have
secret.
a lot
Okay,
more.
okay.
I'm a woman over 40. Check me
slicky,
out. Who said I was over the hill? Time has only made me better, gave me strength, honed my skills. I'm a woman mature, don't play me cheap. I've been through a whole lot of mess. I've lived and loved, made a lot of mistakes. I finally learned to say no and yes.
No, Linda.
Yes.
And I'm winning. So don't look down on or pity me. I'm still going, glowing, growing. Doing my best to make a difference and add a little soul to the world I live
Go ahead.
in. I'm a woman
watching you
of
live.
joy.
Go right ahead.
Still like to
We're supposed to be
party,
doing the
dress up
backup part.
and go out. Capable of love, I respond well to hugs. And my friends are the cream of the crop. We come in all shapes and sizes with a rainbow hue. You should celebrate me, cause I'm a party for you. Now's a good time to party, if you're a woman over 40. Cause you're winning.
Okay then.
Nice.
Breast cancer, hair loss, wig wearing, weight gain,
Girdle wearing.
Uh-oh.
You're winning
told the
anemia.
mood swing, menopause,
Fibroid.
raise a kid, clean the house,
Cuck.
You're winning. Uh-oh.
Hot flash.
Oh my God. That is
I love
great.
it. That's fun. That's a lot of fun.
Except for Debbie, all of us are over 40.
Oh, yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
But Debbie's
she's only
she's
39.
catching up though.
I
Yes.
know.
She's catching up.
But I have a secret.
What's
I'm
that?
taking that 39 and I'm holding on to it until I can turn it around to 93.
Amen.
Oh, good for you.
All right. I'll bake you a cake then.
Absolutely.
I sure will.
Absolutely.
Great. I'm going to look forward to that.
Well, ladies, we've had great conversation today about jazz. I thank you, my friend.
Wait.
Is
What?
your time up?
Wait. That song you just heard is going to be released on my new album called At a Certain Age, which I wish was coming out in December, but it may be coming out in January. But that's Woman Over 40. And you can always catch me on www.avadupree.com. That's my shameless plug. I got
Was
to do
that
my
a commercial?
business.
Good. Take care of
Absolutely.
your business, honey.
Absolutely. And thank you for joining us this Sunday on Sisters for Jazz as we are being hosted here at Sisters at the Well Radio.
Radio. I'm loving the set
Thanks,
today.
Mom.
Oh, yes.
You're quite welcome. Sisters at the Well, that's a piece in the
Yes.
background. I know you can see it on camera.
But next week, you guys,
Cynthia St. James, let's give her a shout
Yes,
out.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Cynthia.
I was
The
at her house
artist.
and I saw all of her
All the
beautiful
beautiful art.
It's
Yes.
just, and she's just great.
Yeah.
And
she
we're
created that piece for Sisters at the Well.
oh my God, next week though? Is it next week?
It is the 27th
Seventh.
of October. We are hosting Sisters at the Well is celebrating 10 years, and we're hosting our 8th annual We See You Awards. You're both invited. It's at the beautiful Skirball Cultural Center, and we are honoring 5 incredible women who were here last week. 3 of them were here in the studio last week, and the gas company is one of our big sponsors. But Verizon and Southern California Edison are our major sponsors this year, our title sponsors. So that's next Sunday after next, the 27th.
The 27th.
Yeah, at the Skirball.
I'm looking forward to it. I enjoyed it so much last year. I had a great time.
And you
Thank
can
you.
go to our website, sistersatthewell.com. We do have tickets available for that show. So please, if you'd like to come, please tell a friend, sistersatthewell.com for tickets.
And one other thing, Linda,
Yes.
Jock is our musical director. So we
Yes.
got a little jazz up in the house.
Jock for sure is coming through. Yes.
So we're going to have a great
Nice.
time.
Absolutely. So with that, Van, Rick, how are you? We have a wonderful technician in the house.
Well, thank you. Yes, I'm blessed.
We love you.
The basement.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Sabrina, thank you for being here with us and taking wonderful pictures and tweeting them and Facebooking them and Instagramming them. We love you.
That's Sabrina Johnson.
That's
Is
right.
our associate producer of the radio show, and she puts out all the information. She's also an incredible dancer. We'll be dancing at the We See You Awards.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So with
So that's
that-
it, huh?
Yeah.
I'm glad I crashed your party.
Oh, absolutely.
I had a good
Glad
time.
you did.
I'm glad you did too, because I was just all over the place, all over the top, but we
I
made
don't
it through.
believe it. But anyway, have a good Sunday, everybody. We love you. Is there music going out?
Yeah.
Oh.
Sure.
What's up, Van Rick? Bye.
What made you play around when you had it so good at home? Look, but don't touch, appreciate the beauty. Just leave it alone. I'm really mad, but I made my decision. You're really a louse, so you just keep your Sheila. I'm keeping the house. Well, I'm the housekeeper,